Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, your source and just entertainment ground for things that are fun here in the DeFi crypto Web3 on-chain blockchain space. I am your host, Chris, the DeFi professor. Thanks for joining us today. Got a great show lined up for you. Got one of our favorites back on panel. Let's bring him in from multiple groups in this space. We have Web3 technologist and fantastic psychologist in training. We have Logan Fulcher, president of the Nebraska Stand with Crypto chapter, making this a Nebraska Boys episode. How are you, sir? You doing well today?
I'm doing good. And technically, I finished my psychology training back in 2007.
Mm. And
For the
and
record,
I wanted to,
that does.
what I should have said is, Konnichiwa, Rogan-san.
Oh,
Hajimemashite. Kyo wa yoroshiku onegaimashita. I got that last part
Steiki na Nihongo.
right. Matane.
I didn't know you could rattle that off.
You
I
know,
want to share. Did you get the tweet out? I'm ready to pump this out, baby.
I you know
I
I
got
am
10
I'm
more
doing that
pound.
right now. I got wrapped up in wanting to speak a little bit of Nihongo with you with my 7 score in Duolingo for Japanese. So, I wanted to get that going. Let me get the link out here to you. You get a link out to everybody actually because I forgot to actually go live on all of these platforms.
I was gonna
It
say we got a big goose egg in front of us here, and I'm like, hold
it
on, let me
you
get
know,
this thing shared. Before
it's
I make
the
like a real gem, I'll miss it.
it's one of those things. Just one of those things, brother. Let me get live here. Shout out to
Let me
everybody on
shut
the
my
arena.
phone up too, because this thing I know it's like someone's gonna like call me as soon as I like properly get going.
All right, let me get this out here in the. Let me get to you in the. Actually, if you just go on X, you can figure it. You can find that. Let me make sure the comments are on. Everything is
Yes, I am
working
on
as
there now.
intended so far. But yeah, so it's a little bit of an interesting time. So at least in this space, the May is normally a time where you sell and go away, right? Just to, April showers bring May flowers. Sell in May, time to go away type of deal. Uh, Ultimately, we're having the most interesting crypto year ever, frankly. We're in a situation where, you know, the the market is doing some interesting things. We should probably go and switch to that really quick so we can kind of look at the markets before we kind of, dive in and talk more with what Logan is doing. We had an interesting, we're just having an interesting climb, right? So BTC regains 80 during the BTC conference last week in Las Vegas. ETH, of course, will follow suit. Bitcoin is the tide that lifts all ships in this space for many reasons. And, we're looking at possibly possibly people called the bottom being in a couple of weeks ago. I still don't think we're there because of, you know, manipulation, if you want to call it that. Why is this not loading? Shout out to the Kobe EC letter. Big fan of the analysis that they do. We're still seeing more manipulation, right? If you read the timeline, you saw that uh, tons of shorts were going in earlier this morning. People still making money off of this. I mean, clearly people know things, right? And that's why these shorts are coming in. And in fact, I saw somebody put a ridiculous short out on BTC with 25x leverage late last night. So clearly there's a lot of manipulation and swing trading to be done, not for the faint of heart nor the weak of stomach. But uh, when we're looking at the market, Logan, we're looking at a market that is hopeful for growth. Is probably the the theme that I would say for this upcoming week, because there are a lot of things that are frankly going to be on the table. Uh, we'll talk about a couple of things that are happening, but what are your thoughts on the market so far coming back from Vegas?
Well, I was talking to a few people who were complaining about a market dip during the conference, and they said, "Why does it always do this when there's a big conference? Things go down." But, looking at the 7 day, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Now, I did hear some rumbles of fear while I was at the conference. I don't want to crack that open yet, but there was a lot of murmurs um, that'll be interesting to talk about. Right now, though, yeah, looking really green on the 70. That's wonderful. I got to go check my bags.
Yeah, I've been watching them very closely. Interestingly enough, Zcash up 75%.
Zcash, rip it.
The
Hold on tight.
Godwicks, the John Wicks, if you want to call them, that are up and running.
Toncoin? Isn't that the Toncoin's like Telegram, right?
That is Telegram's coin. That is correct.
Wild.
Again, Bitcoin being the tide that lifts all ships. There's growth on the Zcash side. There is growth on the Telegram side. Uh, what it's going to amount to is what we're really going to be very curious to see, because like what VCs are looking for, they're looking for utility. They're looking for product market fit at this point, especially at this point in the cycle, if there is a quote unquote cycle that's going on. But I mean, for me, I just have a very strange attitude towards the market right now. And this is a meme I wanted to share.
Honestly, I'm bullish though. Like more bullish than I've been in almost a decade.
I just realized that people can't hear that.
The meme or
Uh,
me?
People can't hear. I just realized that my my system audio isn't on, so people can't hear that. But it's just the yeet yeet skirt skirt yeet yeet, and they're cleaning. So it's about cleaning. it's, it's
It's a
really
wax on, wax off reference. It's a deep cut. You really need to understand Karate Kid if you're gonna
agreed.
even like have a basic grasp on that meme. It's
Agreed.
actually a dumb meme. Chris, you're going hard.
I woke up and I chose hardness, violence
We
today,
chose meme violence
meme
today.
violence today, and you get so the point of that is really just, and with this is something we talked about, because I for those who don't know, I actually picked up Logan from the airport and brought him home, and we had a little bit of a long conversation. Was just the idea that we're gonna have this reset, right? And that's the part that's interesting, because with all of the even let me see if I can go further down. Um, if there's anything in here that actually shows something very interesting, AVAX looking to possibly crack. There's just going to be there's going to be a huge reset with regards to not only operational stuff, security stuff. I mean, obviously we can talk about Q Day all day and just what people are doing to clean up and prep for that, but definitely take the next couple of weeks to just look at your bags, reassess where you're at. Do you still have high conviction in X and Y project? Given the issues that are happening with both security as well as just diminishing liquidity right now. A lot of liquidity is leaving crypto, to be quite honest. But there are a lot of people who are starting to stack up and get ready for what could be another potential leg up. So, uh, reassessing everything right now is probably a really good thing to do. The market is continuing to be fairly crabby and sideways. So, taking this time to not only reassess your DCA targets, but also with, what do I really have high conviction in? Do I still have high conviction in this? Because this could be a time to load up on some aggressively interesting things, especially now that we're getting into the summer season. We're in conference mode. You didn't. Neither of us went to Miami for Bit Basel, Salon Accelerate, and Consensus, but a lot of people went straight from Vegas to there, and then I guess they're going to Turkey the week after. But we're starting to get into a situation where there's going to be a lot of interesting announcements going on. So I think having that powder sidelined, so if you're ready to DCA or get into a new project that has some new things that actually catch your eye, probably a really important thing to do. So let's look at bubbles real quick. And again, leading the news here, guys. Not no shocker that Zcash and Ton just, oh my gosh, literally within like 10 minutes they changed the. That's not what this looked like. Literally 10 minutes ago. That's crazy. But on the week, as you mentioned, that's stuff that we never talk about. But just even on the day, just the fact that Near is up 18.4, I think this might have to do a lot with quantum. Telegram looking to gain a lot of utility. Zcash up 30 because privacy is on the market.
That is some of the murmurs I heard.
Yep.
I heard a very big Bitcoin person tell me in secret that they, because of their community, they have to keep singing the Bitcoin song, but they've secretly been moving over to Zcash and Monero. That's what their actual new song is, but they can't even talk about it. I will not say the name, but I did have a kind of big person mention that to me in confidence, and I'll keep it in confidence, but it is notable. And I'm walking that tightrope now.
And the hard part is that when Bitcoin is up, all of this is going to be green. So trying to identify those targets, you're just going to have to do a little bit of due diligence. Look through all the news that's coming out. Look through what people are saying, especially people that you like and trust. Unfortunately, right now the hardest part is that a lot of the news we get, Logan, as you know, comes from X, and X has changed their algorithm significantly to the point where it's hard to get decent news that isn't shilled from someone who probably shouldn't be shilling anything. But right now, the biggest news that we're seeing here is that there are multiple projects that have been looked at and are being bid. Not sure what I think about this one right here. But
I know what I think about it, but I'm probably going to bite my tongue.
fair enough. ADA has a conference right now too, I believe. They're having some type of summit, at least in Miami. So there's going to be some
There was a
interesting
Ripple
news.
conference in Vegas after the Bitcoin conference.
Really? Tell me a little. Let's actually roll into that then. You were in
It was big.
Bitcoin.
There was a huge Ripple sign, and they rubbed it right in everyone's
Yes.
faces.
Yes, that is correct. I remember
I wish
seeing
I
that.
had a good picture of it.
You know
I
that
did get harassed by one Ripple person.
define
Well, it was on the
harassed.
old. That's all they could afford. I'm joking.
That's all they could afford.
That's terrible. I stayed on the old strip for 4 days. I'm not knocking it. In fact, it's wonderful. That's another conversation, though. I think I'm on the wrong podcast for that one. But yes.
So
Um,
let's talk about Bitcoin 2026. So a lot of big news, a lot of big people were there talking, a lot of institutions, obviously, a lot of VCs, a lot of suits, combined with a lot of the Bitcoin normies that were there. I'm sure in full orange regalia. I know that you went to multiple side events while you were there. Can you kind of give us a couple of, I guess maybe just the overall insights of how the conference went? What were probably the biggest themes that you heard, and the overall sentiment on Bitcoin and I guess most of crypto moving forward?
there's a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, all I got was this T-shirt.
Oh,
Um,
let me zoom in on the T-shirt there because that is an epic T-shirt.
well, let me get some lighting here.
Oh, this frog shirt. Lovely, lovely.
I will not show you the back of it.
That's okay. You don't have to. But
It has a Korean name.
yeah,
I'm not gonna.
tell us a little bit about like the main things that you got, that really just kind of impacted you. Like overall, like what was the basic murmur? What was the basic narrative that was being told? I
You
guess from
already
the
said
conference
one of the
itself.
magic words, Chris, yourself, which was suit coiners.
Yep.
And so one thing I noticed, particularly as I was there in a political advocacy, I was wearing my political advocacy hat a lot of the time with Stand with Crypto. As the Nebraska chapter state president, I represented out there. Uh, Never did find Nebraska Gooner, but I did notice a lot of politicians. Donald Trump's son was there. Kash Patel was supposed to show up. He didn't. Something must have happened that required his attendance at the White House. just guessing. Um, so we had a lot of people in suits. There were a lot of people beside myself that were doing political advocacy. So clarity was, that was a talking point. Spoke with a lot of people about it. They have very strong opinions and they are very angry, which makes me happy because we need to fight and it's hard to fight if you're sad. And so it seemed like people at the conference were ready to fight for their rights. And I know it feels like a bit of a betrayal. It's like, well, aren't supposed to be playing ball with these people. Bitcoin, at its fundamental ethos, is bigger than the government, right? And so, why are we talking to the American government? And I don't think it needs to be adversarial. I do think that governments and blockchain can work together. Though I do think that governments are going to have to transform as a result of blockchain. That's another conversation, but I'll save that for the Crazy Town episode. Um, that being said, it was something notable. Lots of people in just black suits, not orange ones, and even at my own booth, we're pushing on the political advocacy. You'd be surprised how many people don't send in letters when they have a chance to make their voices heard. And so I reached out to a lot of people, and Stand with Crypto provided something like about half of the actual voices when pushing on some of these things that are affecting the Clarity Act as we speak. And so we did have an impact. And yeah, political advocacy was around, hardware was around, just growing, growing, growing. So there were, tons of crates with server racks and cooling and all that stuff uh, and self mining. But
Yeah,
I think that's just kind of a growing trend.
yeah.
Um,
Let's talk a little bit about that if you don't mind. So the self mining revolution, right? Um, there's obviously shared pool mining, and then there's solo mining, and then of course there's corporate mining. So the idea that we have a situation where mining is still even in the conversation, I think is very good, right? Because Bitcoin, of course, is a proof of work chain. It's one of the biggest, and frankly probably the most used proof of work chain. So, um, you mentioned when we were having our conversation that again the floor was dominated with actual mining happening on the floor, big containers with cooling and racks, as you mentioned. So, um, do you feel that the revolution for self mining, for the everyday person being able to mine, still a good venture, at least from what you saw on the floor?
that's a great question, and I don't want you to go buy any mining gear or sell your mining rigs based on what I'm about to say. I have not personally mined Bitcoin, but it does seem like it's becoming a lot more of a corporate venture.
Okay.
That said, I saw some really novel technology for self mining. I actually applied to win one. There was these. You can buy them for about $100 and some, but you can get these little self-contained
Yep.
ASIC mining rigs.
We call
And
them
so, if
lottery
it's something
miners.
that sounds scary to you,
Yeah.
where you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't need a hard hat and a server rack in my house. Like, I've got a cat and some kids. I'm not that technical. I don't want to mess with it. I mean, it sounds great to get free Bitcoin, but it's just over my head. Not anymore. And that's the cool part. So it seems like the people who are building things have made it possible for my uncle Joe to start mining Bitcoin with $100 and some. Just plug it in and let it go. And that was really interesting to see. So if you're interested in mining, but it's been technically intimidating for you, it's time to look again. And the technology has grown to serve you. And that's been one of the big complaints about blockchain in the first place is like, man, I've got these addresses and this gear and I've got to learn all this stuff. I hate learning. I've got a job to do. I don't have time to go teach myself how to mine. Dear Lord. And so, yeah, that's all done now. We're putting the pipes in the wall. You don't need to know how the water pipes work to turn on your cold and hot water. You don't need to know how AC/DC works to flip on your lights. And we're starting to slowly move that way, at least in regards to Bitcoin mining, which is
That's good to
cool.
hear. That's great to hear. And
Yeah.
you know what's interesting? I'll probably do a Beat the Banks episode on this fairly soon because shout out to BitAxe and the team at BitAxe. They've been very good to our community specifically, and people in our community they're doing shared pool mining and solo mining because at least in the last 8 months we've seen three separate instances of solo miners actually winning blocks, which is crazy. The idea that you can go and buy a and in my opinion, you should spend at least $150 to $700 on a miner if you're going to do this. Yes, it's an investment, but um, is it worth the chance of actually winning? Obviously, yes. I mean, the fact that
It's
you know
better than
on
a scratch lotto
it
ticket.
is right because in most cases they've won three. I mean, they've won the entire 3.125 Bitcoin, which is a significant amount of money, huge amount of ROI for you, just for doing it. Um, the key is you're going to want the right amount of terahash at the very least. Some of these are very small, and you're just really just kind of just keeping a decoration. But if you really want to get into it, shout out to BitAxe. They were very nice in outfitting a couple of our members with some solo mining gear. But also don't forget about the shared pool mining. And we'll have an episode on Beat the Banks on this because I think it's worth talking about, as you mentioned, because self mining is something that a lot of people definitely did a couple years ago, up to 5 years ago. People were actually, investing in rigs and putting them in like wind farms and stuff like that, out here in the Midwest and stuff like that. I think there's definitely a case to continue doing that because generally the break even for the majority of these rigs, at least 2 years ago, was around 76k Bitcoin. Guess what? We're above 76k Bitcoin. So uh, this is a situation where it could be fairly profitable for you, at least until we get to the next halving. Then that kind of changes how things look. But at the same time, the number of people who have solo mined actual blocks and won is a little insane. So that's great that you were able to see that. How about any other narratives that we haven't talked about? Is there anything that you saw that was interesting? Last year when I was there,
I started with the most boring one.
well, let's talk about this, and then you can kind of ramble on whichever. I mean, that in the nicest way, obviously. Uh, Last year, there were a ton of brick and mortar banks on the floor, getting people to borrow against their Bitcoin, up to $1 million for loans with hard collateral. Uh, how was that seen? Were there still a number of offshore or onshore brick and mortar banks looking to help people,
And
loans?
investment firms and other more crypto specific companies. So again, the suits. So
Okay.
not even actually the political advocacy ones, but the
Hmm.
actual I'd say TradFi. And so probably what we'll see over the next decade is that more of that until there is no blockchain industry or TradFi like just transforms is
It's
now
just
just
fi.
digify or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
that's what's happening, and you can see it. I wouldn't say it's particularly remarkable, but because it's kind of expected.
Right. Absolutely. We keep talking about this is the year of integration, right? Everything's going to be moving to this. Not only
They
because
all want
it's
the
cool.
pie game theories in full effect. What do
Exactly.
you expect? Everyone's coming in, and their
Exactly.
mom and their dog.
And their mom and their dog. Um, let's see. Well, what was the?
I found what
Give
was
me
more
something that you thought
interesting.
was super interesting.
Sure. More interesting, I think, was the grumbles of the bear market. And so there was a little bit of this depression that is going around when it comes to investment people. It's not necessarily the most exciting time to have your money in blockchain. There's been a bit of a casino action. And people talking about the whole thing's a casino. We literally had the event in a casino. But so it cast a little bit of a shadow over the event, but there's this really bright silver lining that was very exciting to me. And I love a bear market, and it's the best time to find real good projects. And some of them were shining at the event, and that's exciting to me. All these banks and mining rigs, that's the same old story. That's the stuff you would expect, but what you don't expect is what the cool people are building now. All the people that actually care about the technology and not the money, they are there making gold. And some people just walk by. They're looking for the next 1000x, but they're ignoring the next 1000x. And those projects are about to be up and coming. We're reaching this point where the industry is about to have a flippening, perhaps. Oh, did he just say the F word live? He did. A day is coming, I think, where Bitcoin is going to bow its head, and there's going to be an absolute industry revolution, and a lot of these new projects are going to take over, and they're not necessarily fast money based. It's stuff that has more to do with verification, qualification, tracking. There were logistics companies there. Those are starting to spread. What the heck is a logistics company doing at a blockchain event? That's not TradFi. What is that? Well, all the precious metals that are sitting on ships in the Strait of Hormuz, what if they were making money right now? What if all that stuff was making money and you could turn it all into NFTs, palletized? Each pallet's an NFT, and we can start trading them while they sit on the ship. Suddenly, it's actually good to have them sitting on the ship sometimes. The whole market goes bonkers. That's one tiny example. That's an obvious one. There were other ones, things to do with, decentralized identity, things like that. And I talked to some people about decentralized governments, and people weren't calling it crazy. We're at a very exciting time in the industry where innovation has a chance to finally breathe again because all the casino tokens have decided to move their money onto AI or the next big thing. All the liquidity locusts have dug into the ground waiting for their next DeFi holiday. And now it's just time for the real builders to actually get some room to breathe and people to actually notice them. They're not always the best at marketing, but those projects are now starting to shine, and I'm really excited to see it. Even someone here in Nebraska launched their token. They're now consensus, and it's doing really, really well. It absolutely skyrocketed. I won't say it because I haven't gotten permission from him to share anything about it yet, but it's new projects. He's doing AI patent stuff
Interesting.
on the blockchain, and so it's like, hey, this is a time for really amazing stuff to happen. This is when you get rich. This is when people make fortunes. This is the best time to be in blockchain in so long. And part of it goes on to the next topic of the other rumble that I heard, which was the quantum stuff. It's unavoidable. And the AI stuff. Security being the word of the day, I think, and the word of the week,
Really,
ultimately.
security.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's roll
Again,
into
with all
that
the
then.
hacks, too. Sorry, can you, I didn't catch that.
No, I just said let's roll into that. Tell me a little bit more about
Yeah.
how people at the conference felt about the security issues, and that's something we talked about in the car at length.
I got offered a blockchain wallet for $9.99 a month subscription, and like lost my appetite. But then I got in an argument over why it seems fair. And so I was talking to Castle Wallet.
Hmm.
Well, I will say that brand with a Q. I
Yep.
don't like the business model necessarily, but I understand why they think they're able to charge that. And they had one of the main booths that was in the center of the floor, and they do quantum secure blockchain wallets. And naturally, like Rumble started to move around. There were panels on it. I talked to a very Hunter Beast who is very involved in Bitcoin Improvement Protocol.
Proposals.
Suddenly, thank you, proposals. And yeah, quantum is on the list. Like it's a very serious matter. I think the big concern is if we're going to get it across the line in time. But even then, there's like a bigger threat. Q Day, what? Who cares? That might be a year away. AI Day might actually already be here. In fact, it sounds like it is. It sounds like they've got a monster in a cage that has already escaped and is potentially already hacking protocols like quietly. And so I think one way or the other, security is going to be the word of 2026 for the blockchain industry, and maybe larger than that, the actual cryptography industry, which extends beyond blockchain. It just so happens that blockchain is one of the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to hacking things. It's $1.5 trillion or so, and just a few of the highest value coins and then the related industries around them. And also, it doesn't have the benefit of being secured by government entities and things like that. So it's a heyday for hackers, which we've all unfortunately seen. Nearly everyone knows someone who has lost some money in blockchain at this point. And yeah, holding your own keys and being your own bank is kind of a big ask. Um, when when you're surrounded by people who want to take it from you, right? So that being said, security, and not just personal security and OPSEC, that too in a very meaningful way. You know, I think you posted like, are you keeping your auto passwords on your browser?
Yeah,
Good night. Say goodbye to your bank account. Like that's how they
yeah.
get in. They can secure the banks up and down all day, but they're going to clone your voice and clone your face and just grab the info right off your browser where you put it. The AI will. It'll be easy. And so we need to start rethinking how we do digital security. You know, are we walking around? You don't like wave your wallet around when you walk around. You don't wear your ID on your sleeve. But in the digital world, you're practically naked, prancing and asking for to be, you know, have a crowd of people come and gawk at you. Sorry for the weird metaphor, but you get the point. And yeah, it's time to question how we're doing our security. Like, what do you have cold storage? Even then, the quantum stuff isn't going to care about that. So if that really comes to fruition in by 2027, it doesn't care if you have it on a cold wallet, if your public keys are exposed. So what are we going to do? The entire industry actually needs to have a series of hard forks. So we're kind of at this reckoning where, you know, the technology, one way or the other, no matter what you believe in, if you think quantum computers exist or not, AI is going to come eat its lunch. We need to upgrade our security. I would scream that, except I lost my voice in Bitcoin Vegas. I sounded like Mickey Mouse had a baby with DMX.
Oh, rest in
Um,
peace. Rest in peace to
oh,
uh, to DMX, man. So
is he dead?
yeah, yeah, he
Oh,
passed
God.
5 6 years ago. I want to say.
I missed a memo. That
Yeah.
poor man.
Oh, I mean, he lived the life, right? Did he not? He didn't he didn't he definitely truly lived, as they like to say.
His sweet, gravelly voice will live on in eternity in our hearts
Exactly,
and
and
ears.
especially here in the dome for sure, it will live. So
Right
I
in the
did want to
lobby,
bring this
too.
up because you were talking about security. Let's talk a little bit about that. AI, or we're calling the age of mythos at this point, is
Right?
causing
Mythos.
vulnerabilities left and right. Right. So not only did we get a cPanel WHM, um, uh, you know, issue, but the Linux kernel itself has a critical vulnerability, which affects FreeBSD, that in a way that actually affects Mac OS, because Mac OS is based off of a version of the original BSD. Uh, Unix distribution, Canonical, who has Ubuntu Linux, the largest Linux distribution by market share, they had a critical vulnerability. All of this is being done through, if you haven't heard about Mythos, it's a project from Anthropic which was meant to provide security simulations for white hat hacking, for ethical hacking. But it was given a group of unauthorized users came in and was got access to it early. So that's why we're seeing a lot of this happening. The other part too, Apache HTTP server. Now, most people don't use Apache anymore. Let's put it this way. Most newer sites do not use Apache anymore, but there's still a metric shit ton who do. Same thing with cPanel, and then obviously the Android thing. We're going to see a huge reset of people upgrading a lot of their software. So, and we'll talk about this on Friday as well, because we talked about it last Friday. Again, make sure your operational security and just your security routine is strong. Go and update all of your software. Make sure you do it from the manufacturer. The Wasabi exploit that happened at the end of April, terrible. People were getting phished because they were looking at Twitter for people looking to get some support. And they, you can. What's funny is, like, I have tons of people following me that are fake support bots, and they look kind of similar, but they definitely are not. So make sure you do your due diligence. And again, if you have a community or a project you are very interested in, it is to your advantage to make sure you're a part of their Discord, you follow them on socials, and you question everything when you see something that doesn't look right. So these are all things that you need to do, because even with this Android zero-click vulnerability, what we're looking at now, a lot of these bugs are related to remote code execution, RCE. We're going to see a lot of this. And I told this to our communities in our mastermind last week. It might be time to just hunker down, update all your stuff, and do nothing for a little bit. Because sometimes that's the best course of action while all of this kind of blows over. And this is something that, Logan, you and I talked about, the other day, is right now we're going to see max pain through multiple industries. This is not something that happens, to a niche group of people. This is industries wide. This is going to be a problem for the next couple of months, while companies who may not be keen to the fact that they may be in an issue need to upgrade their security. This is what we call
It's
a
an
supply chain issue.
opportunity for the next few months
Exactly.
too.
Exactly.
Sorry
So,
to cut you off there,
no,
but
you're
it's
fine.
important to remember that if you are prepared. And
Yes.
there's no magic day for like security day where we all go and like check our stuff and upgrade it. So make sure that you are making your own security holiday and being like, hey, Sunday afternoon, I'm going to take 6 hours. I'm going to go make sure all my passwords are unique, not auto logged anywhere. I'm going to hunker down, like Chris said. And, sometimes the best course of action is to take no action. If everyone's going to panic and run around like doofuses, why don't you find a corner of the room, sit back and put your hands back and see what's happening? You don't want to be at the tail end of that crowd. You want to be, again, this is an opportunity. If everyone's going to panic, this is when you shouldn't. Don't do what the masses are doing right now. They're
Yeah.
freaking out. And so make sure you're tuned in to people like Chris and getting educated on stuff that matters, like security. It's not the sexiest topic in the world, but my gosh, it's going to look good here in a few months.
Yeah, it's probably the most important thing with all of this integration happening is the institutions who are coming in, they have whole departments, whole companies, divisions, dozens of employees who are keeping them safe. For us, and we talk about self custody because it's the true form of financial freedom, we don't have those things, right? So,
Correct. Your bank is one thing when you've got scammers from, I don't know, like Eastern Europe and little tiny little countries all over the world at your door. But it's another
mhm,
thing when it's a giant AI robot powered by a quantum computer that exists in two places at the same time,
yeah.
seemingly breaking the laws of all physics that we understand as humans. We're dealing with some mind blowing tech to the point where you talk about it and people are like glaze over and get terrified.
And to be very serious about it, DeFi, I would say for the most part, is doing really well. Smart contract exploits are around, but they are fewer and far between because of the hardening, the self healing of the mechanisms in this space. What bad actors are going after now are areas that don't have the same attitude on security that we do in this space, right? So, off-chain infrastructure, things like that, things that are not, so in a space where code is law, they're going after these things. So just be very careful where you put your financial details. You may want to consider looking into a security protocol that can safeguard you from being hacked. Obviously, 2FA at the minimum for everyone. Password managers for everyone. Revoke all your approvals daily. There's tons of things that can happen that are out there, and it's up to you to stay safe. Because, well, Logan, what is the middle letter in the word of security?
Cure.
It's you.
Oh, not word, letter. It's like, we're gonna fix a problem here. That's what you're going for. You.
You. Security relies on you at the center of it. That's true.
Er,
I know. Well, let's talk a little bit about projects before we before we go, full circle around. It's not on the agenda, but one thing that was pretty interesting is that I think May 8th, so Friday, if you use Meta products, uh, you are not going to have the luxury of having quote unquote private conversations anymore. Um, Let me pull up that specific one I
They
have. I
need
just
our conversations to train the AI to sell us, you guys.
is
Come on,
that the
play
reason
ball.
why? Is that the reason why?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No, you're right.
Oh, sorry.
No, so this goes back
I'm
to
still
some
recovering
older.
from Vegas.
This
My
goes back to
gullibility
something in
killed
our
me
content that we
yesterday.
talked about all the time. It's like, isn't it great that this app is free? Well, guys, there's a reason why the apps are free. Gmail,
You are the
Facebook,
product.
exactly. Same thing too. If you don't know where the yield comes from, guess where the yield comes from? It comes from you. So you are the product in a lot of places where you can use things for free. It's just kind of the trade-off that you give, right? You want privacy, you're gonna have to KYC. And you're like, ugh. You want anonymity, you're gonna have to KYC. These are just things that are just kind of trade-offs in general to provide for basic things. But yeah, starting May 8th, Instagram DMs. By the way, that's not just going to be Instagram DMs. Now, I don't think they're going to go as far as WhatsApp because I think they're not going to be able to. Well, we're going to have to find out. But Instagram DMs are no longer going to be end-to-end encrypted. As you said, they're going to be training models because they made a very smart acquisition not that long ago with when they acquired Manus AI, which is going to be used to greatly improve the Facebook user experience, blah, 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 because they're going to be training things to learn more about you. Now, you may not be tied personally with PII because that's against the law, but that doesn't mean that you won't be seeing some interesting telemetry, we'll call it, that, that happens. Like, how is it that if I'm just talking casually, that suddenly an email pops up in my feed or an ad just kind of shows up somewhere that just happened to be like that? Guys, this is exactly how this begins, right? Um, Pretty sure the Facebook DMs haven't been encrypted end to end in a very long time,
They've
but the
already been doing that.
exactly,
Facebook knows when you're pregnant before you do. If you're capable of getting pregnant.
exactly. That's not going to be me unless I'm going to the hot pot buffet. But
Right. I mean, there might be a way. Science is amazing.
science is
But that
amazing.
being said, I read a story about a father and a daughter who suddenly Facebook was recommending baby supplies to her, and the dad saw it and he got upset, so he wrote Facebook. But then a week later, they figured out she was pregnant. But Facebook detected her preferences for less salt, less intense food. Like she started ordering things that indicate hormonal changes. And so the
Crazy.
algorithm actually was able to pick that out before the father and she was, and knew she was pregnant before she was. She knew.
Before she knew.
Yes.
That makes me think of Shiba Inu. Sorry, I'm just being silly now. Um,
Yes, that's what we're dealing with. It's going to be more intense. We are the oil. Data is the new oil. We live
yep.
in the data age. Oil age was a long time ago, but the mines aren't underground. They don't use mines, they use mines
Mm-hmm.
to get
With
that
a
oil.
D. I
Yes.
like
And
that.
so,
I like that a lot.
yes, they love it. They love this juicy data. We're making it for them right now. Yum, 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 yum. Eat it up. Chris, we got to make some sound bites.
We should do that. Um,
But yeah, I'm curious what the audience thinks. Are you concerned if the AI listens to us, or would it be better? I mean, you're going to get served ads anyway. Wouldn't it be better to have ads that were actually targeted? If they're going to throw them at you, I at least want to see something that I'd be willing to buy.
and that's the thing, right? Because people have really strong polarizing opinions on this fact, right? Because it's like people want. What's the one thing that people say all the time? Like, why can't you just read my mind? And then the fact that they're starting to read your mind, and suddenly you're scared, and you're like, this is insane. We live in a simulation, right? So it's like you can't have it both ways. People love the idea of having a personalized experience. The whole Minority Report thing, where you walk in, your eyeball gets scanned, you're like, oh hey, good to see you. Are you still looking for so and so?
Hello,
Or
Mr.
hey,
Soriano. Are
yeah,
you looking for a new Beacon DeFi hat? We have a hat printing station just two stalls down. Why don't you come on over? We'll give you a
Yeah.
discount because da 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 da. And you'd be like, actually, I was thinking about making some new merch. Sweet. Now I don't have to go look for it.
Or to,
In a weird
this
way,
Sunday
that's
is
the whole
Mother's
point.
Day. Are you going to buy gifts for your wife and your mother-in-law and your mother, just so they know that they feel loved and valued, stuff like that. It's like
We're gonna welcome this with open arms.
exactly because it's like there's
Not
going
to
to
be
be a
the
human
devil of
element to it,
it.
right? There's going to be because there's a lot of like a cold feeling about being just data and statistics, right? But when you humanize it and you provide some type of touch to it, it's all in the framing, right? This is going to be framed to be the greatest thing ever, being part of this digital revolution that's going to make our lives so much better. And for the most part, because you and I are in it for the tech, we'll probably lap this shit up. But at the same time, you have to step back and realize when you're being a part of the machine. And the beautiful thing about being in Web3 is that you own your data, and hopefully in the future, and this is my personal hope, is that we get a chance to gain digital data, digital ownership of our citizenship and personal data, so that if companies want to use us as products, we have to be paid for it. And I'm not saying this is UBI or anything like this, but if there is like a something, right? Be-
That's literally how the future economy is going to run. You
exactly.
actually just predicted the future, and like someday someone's gonna review this and be like, "Oh my God, they knew like a decade before that everything was gonna run on all of the everything that we're creating and saying." Like that's how we pay for UBI. It's like, did you generate enough data today?
Isn't that crazy? And it's almost crazy because if you kind of make the parallel to like NIL, which is where college athletes get paid. Well, some college athletes get paid for their likeness. Um, it's kind of like a model that a lot of people could probably get behind. You're like NIL, which is name, image, likeness, right? So the idea is that you're going to. Let's be honest, we're going to be surveilled from all angles very soon. I mean,
We are surveilled from all angles currently,
that is correct, but openly and overtly.
and
The
more
idea
so.
that at least on that overt level that you can actually get compensated and then can justify overt surveillance of you and your family.
There are sci-fi books about this. Now it's just
Yeah,
sci-non-fi.
I have feelings on it, and I think a lot of it. Well, here's the thing. It's like for me, if it provides additional security, I would be in favor of it to a degree. Mainly because you and I are both doxxed. You and I both
I
have
don't trade
families.
freedom for security anymore. I've learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah, right. So it's like if you're going, I want my family to be safe. I don't want to be in a situation where you see pirates or whatever people chopping off fingers or anything like that to send messages. I want guaranteed freedom for my family and their families that come after me, regardless of what my legacy is. And I didn't think that was going to be something I had to think about because I was just out here just trying to make a difference and be a good fucking human being. But that apparently that comes at a cost. That comes at a stupid cost. Uh, and trying to make a difference and be good apparently has terrible consequences because of people who do bad things and suddenly we can't have nice things anymore, and this is why mommy drinks, right? So this is like we can do a whole show on this, but
Homelessness isn't a flaw, it's a
it's a feature, it's
feature.
not a bug, it's a feature. So
That's why you
yeah,
have to own your own money.
yeah,
It's that simple.
that'd
And
be kind
yes,
of
we could
crazy.
do an entire episode about that.
We probably
Um,
should,
don't
we
get me
probably should
started.
do
I'll
that.
start like raging around and maybe like punch a hole in my wall. It won't be good.
uh
I need to remove all my sponsorship stuff first.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, let's get back on the track real quick. um we talk about tether a lot, and the reason why is because the reason why institutions want in is this. Now, Tether did almost $11 billion in profit last year, which is the main reason why institutions wanted the Genius and the Clarity Act to pass, because they want a piece of this pie. Shout out to Paulo Arduino and his very small group of employees. One of the most profitable companies on the planet outside of Hyperliquid. The numbers that's interesting here specifically is this. They only did 1.4 billion in net profit when I think Q3 of 2025 they did 7.9. That's a huge number. This also is a huge number for specifically this reason. The fact that they have now bought more US Treasury bills to be the 17th largest holder, that is more than countries, guys. They own more T-bills than most countries. And they've grown their reserve buffer to more than $8 billion. They have... Why is my computer... Okay. They are in a situation where they are doing really well. We want to see... obviously, Tether is the largest stablecoin by a large margin. In fact, I think it's the third largest digital asset by market cap behind Bitcoin and Ethereum at this point. And just by circulation, it's crazy to see that. And because they own with their reserves, not only do they have T-bills, but they also have gold. They're one of the largest holders of physical gold in the world. I think they said here that they own... Oh, I had it somewhere else, but it's like $7 billion in physical gold. Tether is continuing to ball out. And with all the things that they're doing, a company that's still worth looking into. And, with everything going on with Circle, I've taken quite a bit of my bags and put them in USDT0 for stable coins just because, clearly Circle is going to be very regulatory about it. And when you're in a situation where you have a major hack, they're only going to go in after a U.S. judge order comes through. Guys, that could be a long time before they even freeze funds, whereas Tether has the better head on their shoulders and they understand the implications, mainly because they have a ton of skin in the game. Multiple CEXs use Tether as backing for all of their trading pairs. So yeah, that's big for them. One thing two other things I'll talk about real quick, Logan, before I get your opinion on some things. Shout out to Hinkle, Georgie and the crew there. We've had them on the show multiple times in the last year. They are a privacy wallet in the Ethereum ecosystem. They have now landed, in my opinion, one of the biggest partnerships they could ever ask for after Polygon announced major partnerships with Meta, Visa, and Modern Treasury. They're doing shielded USDC and USDT transactions within their wallet infrastructure, and the technology that they're using to do that is Hinkle. So shout out to Georgie and the crew. Hopefully we'll get you guys back soon here on the show, so you can talk about that great move specifically, because this is institutional facing now for Hinkle, not just user facing. This is institutional facing. So huge thing for Georgie and crew. Congrats, guys. Really happy for you. Also, one thing you talked about with decentralization of different things, I think DePIN might be the industry that might be the most interesting here moving forward, because DePIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network, where you can create products around anything that's decentralized using node operator networks, where you can actually bring in your own hardware, purchasing your own hardware and connecting it to the network, creating this mesh, kind of like what we used to do back in the day with Napster and LimeWire, creating like swarms of operational entities with our own hardware, or hardware that they either sell to you or lease to you. They now have a partnership with Quentis and now have Bitcoin Mobile. World Mobile is a worldwide 5G cellular technology company. They do have a fairly decent DePIN mobile coverage plan here in the US. They have 3 things you can check out World Mobile specifically for them. They have their own blockchain, which I believe is built on top of Base. And now they have a privacy first feature that gets you up to 8% back in Bitcoin based on the plan that you're using, obviously. But Yeah, we're starting to see some interesting incentives around DPIN. DPIN, there's so many projects, it's hard for them to get traction, but the ones that do get traction can make a difference if they get the right people behind it. So, um, you were talking about more decentralized groups coming forward. I think DPIN is a natural fit for a lot of these types of mechanisms. Having decentralized uh, community engaged validation net operator consensus layers. I think these are going to be huge moving forward. So, any thoughts on the things we just talked about before we kind of come home?
It's not my area. DPIN's not my area of expertise, unfortunately.
But it could be. But it could be
I would like to
soon.
learn more about it. Yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, I don't know much about those projects.
But yeah, the privacy thing for Hinkle I think is really interesting. I think it's good because it's built on top of existing technology, right? Normally, when you see like shielded stuff, like what you get from Zcash and stuff like that, you actually have to upgrade to it. This can all be done on existing infrastructure, so I think that's really great to see. Uh, Polygon Purple brand making some waves, man. The fact that they're continuing to move. It was about a year ago when we were on the show here, looking at Sandeep Naliwal, wondering, just because he holds the most shares in the Polygon Foundation or the DAO, that he's now the leader of Polygon. But I mean, they're making moves. Polygon, Matic, one of the longest lasting, lindiest brands here in this space, continuing to stay relevant, and it's good to see that they're doing things like this. So, any thoughts on Polygon? I know that you've been on Polygon a couple times.
I used to work with them back in 2020 pretty closely, actually. We almost had a really tight partnership. Unfortunately, didn't quite pan out with OpenDAO. I was just looking up, I swear they put out something about quantum security, which is more up my alley. But I believe that they're doing some PQC stuff. Yes, so they are working on Plonky 2, Plonky 3, which is a lattice-based cryptography. And so, yeah, Polygon's moving over too. I swear, like we're talking about stable coins and stuff, and it's like, yeah, all this stuff's gonna die, man. I'm sorry to say it, but
You
like,
think so?
um, I know it. It's not a thought, it's not a belief. I can tell you what's coming. 90%, 80 to 90% of the projects are about to die, Chris. I know that's not a cool thing to say. I know I sound like Chicken Little, but consider me more like Paul Revere, perhaps. The redcoats are coming, except that they're robots, quantum robots, and they're all coming to take your money and destroy all of these protocols that don't switch over. So when we're talking about Polygon, it's like that's what they're doing right now. We can talk about DeFi all up and down all day, but we just said hunker down. Don't go buy all this stuff. Honestly, run and hide. Do your research and figure out which of these things are going to be quantum secure, and if they're quantum secure, they're going to be more likely to be AI secure, because the way that this cryptography works is it doesn't fall into systems that computers can predict anymore. It's like asking a computer to go through an infinite field of four-leaf clovers and find the two matching ones. Even with a quantum computer the size of the moon in a million years, like the new security is uncrackable to something like that. And so we need to make sure if you're going into a project and it's not upgrading security, what are you doing? Run. My God, run. Like, check the security on this stuff. Like I said, that's the word of the year. And I mean that in a very serious way, not like a playful, haha, this is an episode way. It's going to kill most of the projects. They're not ready. They're not migrating. A lot of them don't believe this. I talked to people. I had a guy argue with me. He told me Bitcoin was unhackable. It could never, ever be hacked. And I tried to explain elliptical curve cryptography to him, and he didn't want to hear it. But we've got people on the Titanic who think it's unsinkable right now, and we're still pretending like we're on this big boat that's going to be here forever. I said flippening, I meant it. That's a weird thing to say, but Bitcoin's not going to be Bitcoin in a year or two. It's going to be QBTC if it survives. If. And the problem is, after talking to the BIP people, you can't get everyone rallied to change things fast enough. I'm literally, I'm out of Bitcoin. for the first time in 12 years. So again, just to bring this down to earth or up to the moon, not sure which direction I'm going, perhaps in both, but we need to be ready, and not just in a way in blockchain. Like, take a moment to look at all your security. This is going to be global. The banks are ready. You'd be like, well, what about the banks, Logan? Shouldn't I be worried about my bank account? No. They already have NIST approved lattice security based systems in place. They're already quantum secure. The banks are ready. Why isn't blockchain?
In
I
fact, they
mean,
don't
you
have to
don't
do
even need
anything,
to
right?
know about it. They haven't warned you because you don't need to know. They've already upgraded.
That, and they
But
may
the
be
block
waiting. They could be waiting
haven't.
to find upgrade paths first because they're already quantum secure.
Right. This has been in the works for a long time. NIST, they work on it for years. It takes years and years. They have these yearly hackathons. The government's involved. All the world's greatest security experts all come together, and they have little hackathon contests where they try to create the most robust security. And they've come up with some really cool stuff.
How soon do you think we have? Let me just use this
Realist-
example. Let's use this
Oh, love it.
example from one of my favorite websites, which is ultrasound.money, which is the flippening for ETH to flip BTC. There's more things here, right? Because ETH is supposed to be deflationary after the transition to proof of stake, because of the burning that happens. But the idea is that the flippening, based on all the current issues that are happening, is on the end of September 2031. That is 5 years away, which is a very bold idea, in my personal opinion. But Q Day, I think, changes a lot of the trajectory of this. It could be sooner than that. No, I think you make some very valid points. Um,
Albeit crazy ones. And actually, Chris, can I throw this to the audience?
yeah, go ahead.
I really am trying to know. So while I was at the conference, it was a little bit 50-50. Half of the people thought I was literally the crazy guy with the end is nigh sign, like the homeless guy on the side of the road being like, our land is coming. Half of them treated me like that. And the other half were like, whoa, what do you mean? Tell me about elliptical curve cryptography. What is this stuff you're talking about? It sounds like you're on some Star Trek spaceship when you talk about lattice-based cryptography, dilithium crystal security. What planet are you from? But tell me about it. And so it's a mix. So I'm really curious. Am I nuts? Or are you going to go check on what dilithium crystal is after this episode if you haven't heard of it? I'm really dying to know if I need to check myself in or if I deserve like a badge, like a proper Paul Revere hat or something.
I mean, you're talking about Star Trek and warp nacelles at some point. With you're talking about dilithium,
Right?
so
It starts to feel that way. You start talking about this stuff and they're like, well, okay, I don't know what a quantum computer is. And it's like, oh gosh, I need to explain this and I need to do it in a way that, doesn't terrify the person across from me. It's actually very challenging.
well, maybe
You
that's
have
what
to
we need to
forego a
do.
lot of
Like, if you have
knowledge.
time on Friday, maybe we can kind of talk about what all of these actual terms mean, because the banks are
I
ready, and
yes.
if we're gonna beat the banks, I mean, you gotta also be ready. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where we don't have a ton of choices right now, right? We're kind of having the ZK problem, the zero knowledge proof problem from 3 years ago, where you have a gazillion people with different ideas of what zero knowledge, ZK proofs and cryptography related that should be. And is it blockchain based? Is it meta cluster based, like with what Nillion does? I mean, is blockchain the most efficient move for even half this stuff? Anyway, we're still in this experimental stage. All of this could change tomorrow or next year, and suddenly it's not blockchain anymore. It's possibly on meta clusters, like with what Nillion has, where you just have infinite types of,
Quantum
yeah,
database.
quantum databases. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could happen, and it's hard to really predict what that is. But we're here to help guide you on that journey anyway. With that said, thanks to Logan for being here. Please follow him on social media. Check out the projects that he's involved with. Also, if you are very curious about what we talked about, if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. We're trying to get as many milestones as possible. You can check out the free group for Beacon DeFi at school.com/beacon. Absolutely free to join. You'll get access to all of these shows and all of our free content. If you want to learn more about our paid offerings, feel free to do so at school.com/beacon. Thanks, of course, to our Beacon Mastermind founding members, our Beacon Mastermind current members, our Spotlight and Challenge subscribers. Couldn't do this without you guys. So, any closing thoughts, Logan, before we head home?
Again, tell me if I'm crazy. And by the way, I'm Crypto Logan on Twitter. That's with zeros instead of O's. So
Mm.
Crypt Zero L Zero Gan. Crypto. But also, I am an advocate for Stand with Crypto. Feel free to go to standwithcrypto.org if you're interested in getting involved with political advocacy, particularly if you're one of the Cornhuskers. We would love to get you plugged into the community more. We're having monthly events. Pizza Dow's coming up on May 22nd, so that's in every state. Make sure you're signed up for your Pizza Dow event and you're plugged into your local tech communities so you're making a difference. Also, I work for Quantum EVM, which is a quantum secure version of Ethereum. I'm also building a project called Town Haller, which is trying to replace government using blockchain-based representation methods. And I'm also an inventor and artist. I have an art show coming up in Omaha this Saturday.
Bro, why don't
I'm
you tell
doing
me
everything.
that? I would totally,
Yeah,
I'd totally
I'm
go
a
to that.
collage artist. I've got a show coming up. I need to go set it up on the weekend.
Well, let me know where
I've
it's
got
at.
too
We'll
many things
definitely,
coming up.
we'll come through. But
If I
to your
start telling
point,
everyone everything that I do, they're gonna run away scared. They'll be like, "What's wrong with this guy?"
again, Pizza Dow's May 22 coming to a city near you. Check out the one we're gonna be at, the one in Omaha. In technically it's still Omaha. Oh yeah, technically. Um,
Williamsburg Pizza.
yeah, that's gonna be on 168th and Harrison, just southwest of that intersection, creeping into Gretna at that point. But please come through. There'll be plenty of really good pizza. Williamsburg Pizza is great because it's actually an extension. The owners only have branches in Brooklyn because it's Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York. So this is New York style pizza. Coming here, and we've been there. Pizza's great. Really enjoyed what we had. But yeah, Global Pizza Party, May 22nd at 5 p.m. So come through. I'll be there. Logan will be there. We can talk shop. You can have some free pizza and celebrate Pizza Dow.
It's
And
going to be a great time.
find other local Nebraska people that's part of the Stand with Crypto
We're trying,
initiative.
and if you're not interested in blockchain, that's fine too. I mean, it'd be weird if you were watching this whole program and you made it this far and you weren't interested in blockchain. But if for some reason you're tuning in right now at the last 30 seconds, we love all tech people, anyone in finance. We're happy to come talk to you and see how blockchain technology can help improve your industry. It's not just about fast money. Sorry, Chris.
rsv.pizza is the website.
Make
Leave
sure you get that name in there. If we get 20 people in Nebraska, I can get us a congressperson.
Really?
Yes, I'm trying so hard to make sure we're cleared, and I'll pull in. I might get Mike Flood. I don't know who I'm gonna get.
Fine.
It could be a weird one. It almost certainly will be because they're all Congress people are weird technically.
Can we get Bob Carey?
Maybe
How
I could
funny
ask
would
him.
that be? Yeah, like
I was
hey,
trying. I'm pulling on a few people. Nebraska Gooners talking about joining us. I'm talking to Warren Buffett. He's a good friend of mine. He might come down. Him and I always do pizza parties.
that's amazing. Yeah, I know he's
Yeah,
he's
he's a
such
big
a he's
pepperoni
such a
guy.
fan.
He surprisingly likes Hawaiian pizza. Kind of a freak.
Well, he is a ukulele enthusiast, so pineapple in his life is uh, not not abnormal. Yeah, come join me, join Logan, join Fresh Sweats. Uh, should be fresh. That's
Love
amazing.
that name.
Fresh Sweats. now I have,
Always fresh.
now I have some fresh sweats just saying that name. But yeah, come out and join us. We'll be happy to talk shop and really just find like-minded people. That's the hardest part about being in this space is finding like-minded people to actually talk about the news of the day with. So Um,
It's
yeah,
also the best part of being in this space, it's like all the blockchain people like are really interesting. So,
yeah.
if you're looking to, it's the people we make the meet along the way.
The friends
So
along the
come
way
meet,
are the real yield, right?
right? That's, the real return on the investment.
There we go. And I know people like roll their eyes when they say it, but really it's true. I mean, it's there's so many amazing things that are happening in this space. Strangely, that are not DeFi, but still kind of part of DeFi. I mean, whether it's prediction markets, whether it's perps, whether it's AI, which is a natural partner with crypto, in my personal opinion. Um, Excited to see what it all brings. Whether or not Logan is absolutely out of his mind, we'll find out. But we'll be here for it because we're here to educate and spread awareness, and
If
that's
I'm
all that we
wrong,
can
I'll
do.
wear a jester hat for a year and I'll get a jester hat tattoo on my shoulder.
Yeah, I'll hold you to
Mark
that.
my words. Save it, screenshot it.
It's on record, so it's good to go.
Okay. It's official.
We do this show every Wednesday, guys, 1 p.m. Eastern. Got a great panel coming back next week. We're here to educate you, talk about the news, introduce you to new, fantastic minds and great projects and communities here in the blockchain space. Again, school.com/beacon if you want to find out more. Go to rsv.pizza/Omaha if you're here in the Omaha area, or just go to rsv.pizza, check in your area to see if there's a like-minded enthusiast for you there. And hopefully there is one. If not, start your own pizza DAO party. I think it'll be a great time, and you'll meet a lot of great people here in this space. Again, we do this show every
Reach out.
Wednesday. Go ahead. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I can help make that happen if you are feeling like you're alone in your community and you want some help building something. Chris and I can help make that happen.
Absolutely.
We know
Happy to do
people
so.
that, yep. So let us know.
Happy to do so. Can we do the show every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern? Check us out on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern for our Beat the Banks community training podcast. Maybe we will talk about quantum on Friday, or we'll talk more about security
It's
and
going to
things we
be
do.
topic of the year and next year, security related.
And quantum, right? So, yeah, let's
Yep.
let's get our beans together to talk about that, and we'll figure out something. We'll put it out there on the socials. With that said, thanks again, Logan, for being here. Appreciate you being here, brother. And thanks for telling us about BTC Vegas. Next year, by the way, it's no longer in Vegas. It's going to be back in
Nashville.
Nashville. Yeah, back where a lot of things started with Senator Cynthia Lummis talking about the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, which we hopefully will see sometime soon. A couple of other great big promises that are still on the table. So we'll see where that goes. With that said, we will see you on Friday. Take care. Please share this with someone you know. Really appreciate that. And we'll see you next time. Oh 07, beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. I'm going to go weed and feed my lawn.